Hello, this is Sean Fry. Before we start this video, I just have a brief message. It's been sad what's been happening lately. Hurricanes in Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, not to mention the murders in Las Vegas.
What is strength? Strength is valet parkers who become medics, mothers who become emergency responders, sisters who shield brothers because they love them with a love that has no bounds. Strength is first responders who tirelessly carry visitors and locals alike to safety until sunrise. It's our medics and surgeons, all of them, who come running to the calls of those in need. Strength is what we all are today, and strength is our promise for tomorrow.
But just recently, just down the street from me, up here in Northern California, wildfires. Lots and lots of wildfires. It hasn't been as devastating as the hurricanes, but nevertheless, it's been very devastating for many people. A friend of mine even lost his house, and hundreds of other people are missing. Thousands of people have lost their homes. 29 are confirmed dead. I would just like to bring attention to this issue before you watch this video. Please click the links in the description to see how you can help out and to see some videos describing the situation better than I can, and news coverage. We will rebuild. It will take time. We will rebuild. We'll come back from the ashes like a phoenix, stronger than ever. Without further ado, let's start this video. Hello Internet, this is Sean from Broadsword Media. Finally I come back with a new top 10 video. It's been a long time. They're definitely the most in demand videos I got, that's for sure. So let's continue. The NFL season's among us, and I figured I would talk about top 10 potential playoff matchups I look the most forward to. So obviously, not all 32 NFL teams have a shot of even making it to the playoffs in the first place. So you're gonna see some repeat teams on this list. All right, so let's get started. Number 10, I'm looking forward to is a potential playoff match between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. They're both NFC South Division rivals, and yes, I know the Panthers were not so good last year, but 2 years ago, they were really dominant. They won the NFC, and then last year, the division rival Falcons won the NFC. Both of the teams lost the Super Bowl, so it'll be really interesting to see these two teams take each other on, and especially if it's in the NFC Championship to determine who takes the NFC again, but this time between the last two teams that won it. So I think that's pretty awesome. Number 9, Seattle Seahawks versus Green Bay Packers. So anytime these two teams face off, especially in the playoffs, it's always a sight to see, that's for sure. Seahawks with their punishing defense. The Packers got Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and many of us probably remember
Seattle's won the toss. We won the ball, we're gonna score.
Totally backfired.
One of his passes did lead to the score.
The pass is picked up, intercepted, back the other way. The Green Bay Packers advance. Many of the headlines will talk about what he said at the coin flip.
So there's definitely a rivalry. They've squared off against each other multiple times in the playoffs since then, and the Packers usually won, but the most recent time the Seahawks did in the NFC Championship 2014. So it'd be interesting to see these two teams take each other on again and see where it goes. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. I know the Ravens have been less than stellar lately, but they still have potential. They still have a mighty good defense, and if their offense can start to pick things up and be at least adequate enough, they could definitely be a playoff team easily. Ever since the Ravens hired John Harbaugh as their head coach, my goodness, the rivalry between the Steelers and Ravens became legendary because they faced each other in the playoffs 2 straight years and have been one-upping each other in other ways, like when the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012, Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2008. So if they were to face each other in the playoffs, it would be epic. The Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans. It's not likely that both these teams would even face each other in the playoffs, let alone even make it to the playoffs in the first place, but it is still possible. They both were 9-7 last year. Texans were lucky to be in a weak AFC South to take their division. Both these teams have powerhouse defenses. They're both really strong on defense. The only problem is their offenses are not so good. Their quarterbacks are really bad. If both teams' quarterbacks can at least play adequately enough, they both could make it to the playoffs with a defense carrying them there. And if they faced each other in the playoffs, it'd be it would be a turnover slugfest, basically. It'd be one crazy game to see. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more than 10 turnovers between the two teams if they both faced in the playoffs. Number 6, the Oakland Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Even during their down years, they always seem to have really close games against each other. Whenever they go against each other, you really don't know who's going to win. And that's what's really exciting about watching these two teams and why their rivalry is still really epic even to this day, especially now that both these teams are quite respectable. I want to just go over Alex Smith a little bit. Even back in 2012, when Jim Harbaugh chose Colin Kaepernick over Alex Smith when Smith came back from his injury, even back then I disagreed with the decision because Smith was the most accurate quarterback before his injury. And it shows. He's doing great for the Chiefs. He doesn't put up great numbers, but it looks like now that his starting job is being threatened by a young quarterback the Chiefs drafted, it looks like he's actually being more aggressive and trying to really outdo the up-and-comers, because I think he doesn't want to lose his starting job a second time. The New York Giants versus Dallas Cowboys. I'm well aware in week 1 the Cowboys kicked their ass basically, but other than that, they have a pretty heated rivalry. Even last year when the Cowboys were 13-3, the Giants actually beat them twice in very close games. The last time these two teams faced in the playoffs, way back in 2007, once again the Cowboys were 13-3. Giants were unexpected wildcard team that actually was able to beat the Cowboys anyway, and on their way to winning that legendary Super Bowl against the undefeated Patriots, which no one really expected to happen. It's just week 1. Week 1 does not say how the rest of the season will go. Patriots got beaten pretty easily by the Chiefs, but I guarantee you most people think the Patriots will still be a pretty damn good team this year regardless and still be a Super Bowl contender like they are every single year. You can't just knock off a team for having a bad week 1. They can come back from that. In fact, when the Giants won both their Super Bowls in 2007 and 2011, they had bad starts to the season, but managed to squeak into the playoffs and go all the way and win. It's still possible. If they go against the Cowboys in the playoffs, I guarantee you it would be a really epic matchup. At number 4, I got the New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know, the Saints' odds of making it to the playoffs are not very good. But the fact is, their offense is just always so amazing every year. And if their defense could just play at least a little better than they do, they'd actually be in the playoffs. I mean, they're 7-9 despite having like the worst defense ever, basically. And the Falcons are kind of on a similar boat. Falcons have a really amazing offense, but their defense is also not very good either. Drew Brees and Matt Ryan both had the most and second most passing yards, respectively. So it'd be really awesome to see these two quarterbacks shoot it out in the playoffs, that's for sure. It's not likely the Saints would be in, but I'm not going to leave them out because they've been close every year going 7-9. So if the Saints could improve a little more from what they've done over the past several years, they could actually be in the playoffs and potentially face their division rival Falcons, leading to what could potentially end up being the highest scoring playoff game ever. All right, number 3 would be the New England Patriots against the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. These two teams don't get to face each other much since they play in opposing conferences, and they've yet to face each other in the Super Bowl despite how great both these franchises have been throughout the 2010s. It'd be pretty epic to see them go against each other. It'd be a rematch of the '96 Super Bowl, except back then they had the predecessors at quarterback, Brett Favre, and on the Packers, Drew Bledsoe and the Patriots, and it's pretty obvious who's better between those two. This current generation's Packers and Patriots, it'd be Aaron Rodgers against Tom Brady, who are both very, very good Hall of Fame quarterbacks, that's for sure. And it'd be really awesome to see these two square it off. Of course, it is still a team game, so it's going to also be up to the rest of the team. Patriots do kind of have the advantage in that regard. They got a better defense. I still think it'd be a really awesome Super Bowl to see. All right, number 2 is the Oakland Raiders against New England Patriots. Yeah, I know, Patriots 2 straight times. But, I mean, it's expected. I mean, they're expected to be good every year, so you got it. So it's without a doubt they'd be on the list at least twice. They haven't faced each other in the playoffs since 2001, and that year was a complete changing of the guard. The Raiders were already in the AFC Championship the year before, and they were expected to be a good team for years to come. The Patriots were these underdogs that just came out of nowhere at the time. It was snowing. It's now known as the Tuck Rule game because the Raiders, from what it looks like, forced Brady to fumble the ball and recovered it, but the referees called it an incomplete pass based on some rarely used rule back then called the Tuck Rule. Almost sounds made up since it's so rarely used. Nevertheless, it was a changing of the guard. The Raiders did go to the Super Bowl the following year, but since then they were bad for many years to come, and while the Patriots remained very good for ever since then, and never really bad, winning several Super Bowls since then as well. Being how old Tom Brady is, how young the Raiders are, if they faced each other in the playoffs, it could be epic. I mean, they both have powerhouse offenses. Unfortunately, the Raiders' defense isn't so good. If the Patriots' defense does have vulnerabilities like what it looked like against the Chiefs in Week 1, this could end up being a very offensive game, though. If the Raiders win, it'd be freaking epic. Honestly, unless you're a Patriots fan, think about that. If after all these years and that one BS call, at least according to us Raiders fans, and then this time the Raiders get revenge 16 years later, yes, completely different teams, yes, Tom Brady's still there, still there on the Patriots though, and Bill Belichick. It could end up being a reverse change in the guard. Maybe Tom Brady realizes he can't play any longer, retires, Patriots start to go kind of down a bit, and the Raiders start to rise up because they got such a young offense, and if they can build a defense on top of it, they could be a contender for years to come. It would be an epic game because they're both powerhouses, but also because of what's at stake. And that's why I have it all the way at number 2. I'm going to quickly gloss over some honorable mentions. Number 1, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Tennessee Titans in the Super Bowl. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not likely these two teams would even make it to the playoffs, let alone make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but they have potential. Now, back in 2014, they both tied for the worst record at 2-14 each. So the Buccaneers got the first overall pick, drafted quarterback Jameis Winston. Titans got the second overall pick, drafted quarterback Marcus Mariota. 2015, in Week 1, they both played against each other, which was the first start for Winston and Mariota. Mariota actually dominated. The Titans dominated the Buccaneers that game, but Winston and the Buccaneers got the last laugh because they improved to 7-9. The Titans were only 3-13 that year. However, last season, they both went 9-7, and were very close to making it to the playoffs. The Buccaneers missed the wild card by just a tiebreaker to the Lions, who also were 9-7. The Titans missed the AFC South division by just a tiebreaker to the 9-7 Houston Texans. Actually, the Titans have a greater chance of making it to the playoffs because of the weak AFC South. The Buccaneers, we'll see. But if they both make it to the playoffs, and especially if they both went to the Super Bowl, that would be one I would love to see. A lot would be at stake, and it would actually, I think it'd bring hope to a lot of those low bottom feeding teams, because the Buccaneers and Titans just a few years ago were the worst teams in the NFL, and if they were both in the Super Bowl this season, that'd be crazy. That would be one of the fastest improvements in the history of the NFL, and it'd be for two teams at the same time. It'd be incredible. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click that bell icon to receive notifications whenever I upload a new video. This is Sean Fry from Broadsword Media. Stay tuned for more top 10 episodes. I also am dead serious. I'm going to go through with doing my What If series I've been talking about for so long. I know I've been saying it over and over, but I'm going to go through it this time and have it done. And I will get that first episode done. Those of you who've been watching my videos, you know which episode I'm talking about. I'm also still going to continue doing that live stream of the Super Subjective podcast. Check out my channel and see if you like it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I know the opening was really sad. It's actually one of the reasons why I've delayed uploading this video. There was no internet access for a few days. But I'm lucky to have only lost that, compared to others who have lost their whole homes. So again, if you want to help out, even if you're not from California, check the links in the description. There are many charities you can donate to. I know my predictions are a bit out of date. They were supposed to be done after week 1. I meant to work on them before the season started, but I had a lot going on as I had a wedding in August. I hope you enjoyed this top 10. I plan to do a live stream where I'll update the top 10 and talk about other things. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell button for notifications.